And we will continue our media availabilities with Erik Jones, driver of the number 43 Toyota for Legacy Motor Club. Welcome back, Erik.
Yeah, thanks.
We'll go ahead and open it up for questions. If you have one, please raise your hand, and we'll get to as many as we can. We'll start down here with Cameron.
Cameron Richardson, NASCAR.com. Erik, what makes you, so good at this track, given how difficult it is? And your last 10 Cup starts here, you're actually tied for top 10s of most active drivers with Brad Keselowski. Just what suits your driving style so well here that compared to other tracks?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a combination of things. I don't think it's one thing. I think through the years I've had some good cars here, which has obviously helped, but I always feel comfortable here and always have. I came here in the Xfinity Series in 2016 for the first time and felt good, but really first race here in Cup in 17, I felt like I was just really comfortable with what the track was doing and how it changed and transitioned and how the tires fell off and how you needed to manage your race, and I feel like I've had a good feel for that. So I think that's a lot of it. It's just kind of that feel through how the car transitions through the run, how these tires fall off. The track's changing every year, right, a little bit. It's getting older, and we've got the patch off of 2, which has changed things more than probably a lot of people thought. But overall, I think a lot of it is just being able to manage through the run and through the race and really racing the track too. You hear that term less and less now. But being able to just go out and race the track, I think, is something that helps me as well.
We'll go to Jacob, then Bob.
Jacob Stillman, Raceface Digital. Welcome back, Erik, first of all. Do you feel like as a driver it helps you coming off the injury to come back to a place like Darlington where you've been so comfortable over the years?
I think so. I think, the schedule, looking at it, kind of worked out well, knowing what my injury was, what the timeline looked like. There was probably a possibility to come back right away with the injury, but Dover was not a place that was going to happen. Even Kansas was a place that was going to be challenging with just it being high speed and a lot of risk for being in an incident, not of your own doing necessarily. Coming to Darlington, though, I feel like you can control your own destiny a bit, and there's less risk for an incident like that. And also 3 weeks in, I feel like, we're definitely on the safe side of being 100%, and I feel 100%. So it does make me feel comfortable, though, going out and making laps today. Obviously, being out of the car for a couple of weeks is tough in some ways. I think probably tougher than what you realize until you hop back in and you're a couple of weeks behind everybody. But having a place like Darlington where I feel like I get around well and know what I need to do as a driver to be, strong and in contention, it does ease your mind a bit.
You've been able to see this now inside the car and the last 2 weeks outside. How do you evaluate from your shoes where Legacy is at now, about a third of the way through the year with the switch to Toyota?
Yeah, I thought Dover was a hard one because Corey's first race in Cup, and he was trying to learn, drinking through a fire hose a bit. But I thought Kansas was a better kind of evaluation. And I thought all 3 of our cars were decent at Kansas. John Hunter ended up having a good finish in 13th. But our other 2 cars, I think Corey was capable of top 15 with a different restart at the end. Jimmy definitely top 15 without getting wrecked, maybe even top 10. He was one of our best cars, through the early part of the race there. So I thought that was good. Our mile-and-a-half program's actually been more of a struggle this year than what it's been in the last couple, which is different. That's been our strong suit. So, I hope that bodes well for here. What we did at Kansas and can transfer some over. It's a lot different, but there is some stuff you can bring. So I think we're getting there. We're making big changes right now that, are going to take time to come into play. I think everything's been longer and everything's taking longer than what we wanted or anticipated, but I think we're making the changes and steps to get there now.
We're going to go to Bob, then to Jordan.
Bob Pockris, Fox Sports. How much time have you been able to spend in the simulator, and did you, how did you feel, and did you change any sort of seating positions or anything like that?
Yeah, I got back in last week before Kansas, and I felt good. I ran about an hour and a half in there, and actually ran a couple of tracks in there, trying to just pick tracks where it was going to move the sim a lot and put some bigger impact on my back and make sure everything was good. And I felt fine from the impact and also from being in there for that long. So that was good. I have changed a lot in the car. I changed my seat and some belt angles and a handful of things that we found that could have been better, before the wreck at Talladega. So I think it's been a big learning experience, really. I think we've all learned a lot internally on what we can do better on safety. And, there's all kinds of different opinions out there, right, on what's right and wrong, and we're always learning. But I feel like we're in a better spot now, for me at least, on what I can do in the car. And I hadn't made a lot of changes, frankly, in a lot of years. I ran the same seat and everything for about 8 years, and, it was time to switch things up, obviously.
We'll go to Jordan, then in the back to Dave, and then to Matt, and then to Dustin.
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. How would you classify your health? Are you 100%? Are you still 90%? Where are you at?
Yeah, I would say 100%. Well, maybe, I guess 95. So I feel 100%, but I say 95 because I can't go in the gym and lift weight, right? I can't put, that kind of load on my spine just from a cautionary standpoint. So I would say 95 just from that, but I feel, 100 and ready to get back. So
you kind of answered it, but what other restrictions do you have on yourself on like day-to-day activities and what you can and can't do?
Yeah, not much right now. Through this injury, it's been kind of a pain tolerance thing more than anything. It's, it's a stable fracture. There's not really a risk of it becoming unstable or anything of that sort. So it's mostly what I feel like I can take. And some of it's just been getting back outside, working at my house and doing that and seeing what feels comfortable and what makes me sore and what doesn't. But, I would say we're at 3 weeks tomorrow. By 4 weeks, next week, I feel like be able to get back in the gym and start doing my normal stuff again. And by 5 weeks, be, totally back to normal.
We'll go to Mike, and then to Matt, and then to Dustin and Lee.
Mike Bagley, Motor Racing Network, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Eric, you mentioned a moment ago that by being out of the car those 2 weeks, you feel a little left behind, that you've missed some things. What specifically are you referring to? We've heard this from other drivers. What does a driver miss out on, or what is creating that lag that you feel that you have there by being out of the car?
I think just being in that rhythm week to week. In the Cup Series, obviously you're running nearly 38 straight weeks every year. So everybody's stayed in that rhythm, right, the last couple of weeks, and they're hopping in today like a normal weekend for them. I'm hopping in as, okay, it's only been 2 weeks, but you still kind of got to get your bearings again and recalibrate a bit when you strap back in. So, I don't think it'll take long. I wouldn't say I'm way behind, but you lose that rhythm of being in it week to week and communication with the crew. I've obviously stayed talking to them a lot these 2 weeks, but it was also 2 weeks for them with a different driver, different feedback, different work through the week. So getting back in that flow of normal things for everybody is going to take a second.
We'll go to Matt.
Matt Weaver, Sportsnaut. I got two for you. Welcome back, too, by the way. When it comes to next weekend with the option tire, I don't know how much you've really dug into the data or what the projections are within the team, but do you have a feel or an opinion on what that should look like, or what would be a win for that?
Yeah, I looked at it some. I don't know, how much that tire is going to be different, right? I know the compound difference, but you don't really know how that adds up on track. I remember the All-Star race a handful of years ago with the option tire, and that didn't produce much. Obviously, that was not, what we wanted. The true win for the option tire would be somebody to come in, take the option tire, maybe one or two cars, go to the back and drive right to the front in 10 laps, right? I think that would be a win for the option tire. And then if it goes green and it falls off, so be it. That's kind of the box you're in with that tire. But, you're going to have to see a large variance in lap time, I think, with that tire for it to be a win. 3/10 probably at a track like North Wilkesboro, somewhere around there, to really make it where you can cut through the field and do what you want to do. So I don't know if that's possible. I don't know if that's what it's going to be, but I think it would have to be a win.
And then for this weekend, or looking forward towards the future, we currently run the intermediate package for Darlington. Are there any merits towards either keeping this package or maybe even trying the short track package, or is that such a marginal difference right now that it's not even a consideration?
Yeah, I think it's too marginal, and I think that you don't. I don't think we even have a proper tire for the short track package that would wear enough. Maybe here would be an exception just with the surface, but I think that's some of the problem is short tracks as well, is that the tire just, it doesn't wear out and that there's no load on the car either with as little downforce as we have. So I don't know. I think we're through messing with aero a bit. I think the package on mile and a half has shown good. It's obviously more challenging here than some, but it's able to work around and move. But I don't think that would make a huge difference right now.
We'll go to Dustin, then to Lee, and then to Dan.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Erik, through the years, we always hear the last thing a driver wants to see is to see somebody else in their car. It was a very unique situation last week, and I can't even recall a last time a driver was cleared and did not go into the car that next race that they were available to. My guess is, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, this was not your idea. How is a driver convinced, or how do you accept that situation of a doctor says you can go and you're not in the car?
Yeah, I mean, it's it's tough in one way, right? I mean, you want to go and do it, and you in that moment when you get the all clear, you're thinking, okay, I'm coming back, and then obviously you have more conversations and realize that's not going to happen. But I think at the end of the day, you talking with multiple people through it and figuring out the best options. It is for the best, and at that point, right? If you I think, look, if I really pushed it, I mean, I could have been in the car last week, right? If I really, really wanted to be. But at the same time, if I make that call on my own and overrule, and I go out and re-injure myself, I kind of look like an idiot in some ways, right? Barring anybody else's words. So, I think sitting down, thinking about it, and getting through that first moment of, hey, you're clear and you're coming back, and then taking a moment to step back and say, okay, yes, we are clear. You've done some things to make yourself feel good, but, where are you really at? I mean, this was on Friday morning or Thursday morning, and I was still sore, right? I mean, I still had soreness at that point, really up until Sunday. Sunday at Kansas was the day I was really starting to feel better. So to say that I could have got in last week and truly been at my full potential and not, number one, be sore, and not, number two, be in the back of my mind saying, if I hit this wall right now, how's that going to go? I think I would have been probably lying to myself. So when you take those conversations and step back for a second, I feel like you get a broader picture, and that's kind of where I ended before the weekend.
How did you get to that point? Because it's very hard for any of us to, at times, honestly assess the situation, because, I'm guessing as an athlete, highly motivated athlete, you're like, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. So, look, there can be a hard hit anywhere. I mean, there can be a hard hit here this weekend, even at these speeds. So, like I said, just the mindset of how an athlete convinces themselves that it's best to sit out, when that has never been the mindset of any athlete coming up. It's always get in, get in, get in. I
think the way that we really looked at it, that, at the end of the day, I'm 27, 28 this month, years old. I hope to race in NASCAR for a few more years, right? I have hopefully over a decade left in this sport. And, that's a lot of races, right? That's 500 races. It's something like that. So, you look back and you say, well, what's really the difference of one or two? We go to Kansas twice a year, 20 more times my career at least to get to go back there. There's so many more races down the road, or the conversations we really had, right? And those conversations that we want to have those races together and be in the sport for a long time, and not do something right now that's going to put me at risk for, an early end of my career. And we've seen it happen with drivers over the years, right? That these nagging injuries, they add up, and eventually guys are out of the seat sooner than they want to be, whether it's, head or body, along those lines. So I think that was the conversations that I really had with people to come to, I guess, a peace with that decision, that, sitting that one more week out, we look back 2 years from now, it's just such a small blip on the radar.
We'll go to Lee and then to Deb.
Lee Spencer, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio and CatchFence.com. Looking forward to the Coca-Cola 600. I understand coming here, it's been your best track, and I'm sure the adrenaline's going to help a lot get you through it. But when we get to the Coca-Cola 600, the marathon of all NASCAR races, what is your team going to do to kind of give you more creature comfort in the cockpit, whether it's, cool shirts or because you're going to have, I would think, more support for the back, but also take care of your other needs that you're accustomed to?
Yeah, we've changed the seat a lot. This will be the first race on that seat. I'm sitting in a pretty different position than what I'm used to for almost all my racing career. And guys that have went through this similar injury have went through this same transition as well in their seating position. So, it'll be, fortunately, it's not a short race. It's 400 miles, but it feels short here, I feel like. So it'll be kind of a good test here and next week at Wilkesboro to see, okay, how does the seat feel? What can I change before the 600? So I'd say it's 2 good weeks of that, seeing how I feel, seeing what's bothering me, especially after Darlington here tomorrow, and saying, okay, this is what hurts. Here's what we're going to change, going forward. And hopefully we, hop in tomorrow and I feel great after the race. That's the ultimate goal. But, with as much as we've changed, I think there's going to be some different things that are bothering me, or I'm going to want to move or do different. So, again, it's the first time in 8 years I've really moved a lot of different things in the car, and how I'm sitting and how I'm positioned in there. So it's definitely going to be different on the body.
We'll take one last question from Deb as we're running out of time.
Eric, Deb Williams, Auto Week. In regards to your injury, a few questions here. First of all, you said you were going to be back in the gym next week. What have they allowed you to do physical therapy-wise? What did it consist of? What did the doctors want to see that injury to what point in order to clear you? And are you wearing any type of back brace? You said you changed your seat, but are you going to wear a back brace or some type of back stabilizer?
Yeah, no, I didn't have any back brace. My injury was on the minor side, just one vertebrae. So there was, and with it being stable, there was really no brace required from the start. As far as what I did getting back in the gym, really it was right after, I sat out that week of Dover, and then right after Dover I was back on Tuesday getting in the gym. And some of it was, pain management, treatment stuff, just, hot, cold, and, everything we can do to make it feel better. And then the next, I really started with just walking on the treadmill on a high incline. Got up to start jogging and running a little bit, seeing how the impact felt on my back, and that felt good. So right now it's kind of body weight workouts. I can't lift a lot of weight where it's going to put pressure on my spine downward. But I can do any kind of body weight movements and a lot of stretching, just trying to keep, obviously, when you have an injury like that in your back is spasming a lot to try to support your spine. So trying to loosen that back up and get feeling good there has been most of what I've been doing. So the physical therapy side, though, there wasn't much. Unfortunately, I learned with this injury, there's not a lot you can do to speed things up. It's more of a when you got to rest and wait, and it's got to heal on its own. The bone doesn't grow back. It's just got to harden. You've lost that chunk of vertebrae forever, so I guess I'm a little shorter than before. But, you just got to wait for that piece to harden back up and get back to where it can, support and feel good again.
All right, Eric, thank you for your time today. Good luck this weekend.
All right, there's the checkered flag. Great job, driver.